So that something I've been meaning to get on here and talk about for a while now is buying horses, and just because I see it so much, where amateur people or people that haven't been in the horse industry for a long time, and even people that have been in the horse industry for a long time, make these really huge mistakes when they buy a horse. And so it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and we're going to do kind of a series on this. And today I'm just going to talk about horse sales. And I want to predicate all this was I love trading horses. I love trading horses. And I started trading horses when I was a little kid, and I learned from the old school horse traders, and it was with them, it was like, it wasn't just part of the job. It was like your duty to be just a little on the, and I don't condone that. I don't agree with that. And you can't get away with that kind of stuff anymore anyway. But in the old days, it was something like, well, is this horse, does he have any bad habits? Oh no. He doesn't kick? He's never kicked me. I've never walked behind him, but he's never kicked me. Those were how the old school horse traders were. And like I say, a lot of that stuff doesn't go on anymore, but there's still a lot of horse trading going on that as a buyer you need to be aware of. So like I said, we're going to start out with talking about horse sales. I've been involved in, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of horse sales over my career. For a long time, I was the guy. That was who you called. If you had 100 head of colts and you wanted to get rid of them, call Bret and put on a horse sale, and he'll get them all rode through there. And that was what I did. And some of those auctioneers and bid spotters and sale producers do a lot of things that aren't really quite on the level. And it's a funny thing about that culture is that no one will tell you what's going on, because nobody's quite that black-hearted enough to actually explain what's going on. But if you're smart enough to figure it out, and you're part of the club, and you get to watching and you get to listening and see how things work. So that's why I wanted to talk about horse sales. Like I said, I've been involved in hundreds and hundreds of horse sales in my life. I have never purchased a horse in an auction. What does that tell you? I have never purchased a horse in an auction, because I know how it all works. So let's talk about how it works. The first thing is, why is a horse in an auction? Well, it's not always because the horse isn't any good or the person doesn't want it or whatever. There's people like me, and I've never done it for a living. I've always kind of been a hobby horse trader. But there's people that trade horses for a living, and there's nothing wrong with the horse. That's just how they make their living. And so there's a lot of good horses at auctions. But they're all at an auction for a reason. If you've got a really superstar son of a gun, you don't need to take it to an auction to get it sold. Because when you take a horse to an auction and get it sold, you pay a commission on it. As the seller. The seller's paying a commission. And so if this son of a gun, if he's really flawless, I don't need to pay anybody that commission. If he's flawless, I can pick up the phone and say, hey, call somebody and say, hey, here he is. So that's one thing you got to think about a horse at an auction, is that there's a reason he's at that auction. And it could be just because the person that owns him wants to sell him and doesn't have any other, doesn't have those connections to pick up the phone and call and sell a flawless one. But it could be there's some underlying stuff in there too. So those are things you want to look at. Those are the kind of questions you want to ask the seller. That, what's the deal? Why do we have him at an auction? If he's all that in a bag of potato chips, then how come you've got him here? What are we doing? and that can be hard for some people to do, to be that direct talking to a seller. But that's what you have to do when you're selling or when you're buying. You have to be direct. Ask these questions and what's the deal? Why is this horse here? Why is he for sale? Is this because this is how you make your living, or is it because you're not getting along with this horse, or blah, 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 blah. Things like that. Most of the time we try not to cut videos, but I think this one's going to have some cuts in it because we get done and then, oh yeah, I wanted to say this, I wanted to say this. So this is a cut in here. I was talking about people that are professional horse traders that make their living trading, or even people like me that are semi-pro. I guess is what you'd call me, a semi-pro horse trader, because I do trade quite a few horses. You find somebody like that at an auction, that's somebody that, and still be cynical, but that's somebody that you can pretty well take their word for it. You find somebody like that, they make their living trading horses, they can't afford to have anything bad said about them. I was talking about the old school horse traders back in the old days. Really, since the dawn of the internet, you cannot do that stuff anymore. And so people that make their living doing it, they're going to give you as good a representation as they can about that horse, and try to figure out if it fits you. Those are the people that they don't want the horse back. They don't want a phone call 3 months down the road that says, yeah, this horse is broke. I can't ride him because the horse is more trained than I am, or whatever the case may be. They're going to try to find a horse that does fit you. And if they don't have a horse that fits you at that auction, they probably have one at home. They're going to try to find one that fits you. And those are where you're going to get the best representations of a horse, is from somebody that does it for a living, and that's how they put food on the table and a roof over their baby's head, is by trading horses. So try to track them down if you're at a sale. And it's okay to ask, like, is this what you do? Are you a horse trader? That's okay. It's the people that sell a horse every couple of years or something, got one and it's just, he doesn't really fit me, and there's the sale over here, I'll take him. But or take a horse to a sale every year. It's those people, they don't really have anything to lose if you don't like the horse, or if they kind of forgot to mention that part about that one wonky foot on him, or the this or the that, or you can't really have a weekend off. Those folks don't have anything to lose. If you're mad at them, whatever, they don't care. But the professionals, they want to sell you another horse. They want to sell you this horse, and then when you outgrow this horse, or this horse gets old, or this horse does get injured for whatever reason, they want their phone number to be the one you think about when you're ready for another horse. And so they want to do you right. They're trying to make things work for you. So look out for them at horse auctions, because that's kind of your best bet. Obviously, conformation, soundness, good feet, those are all those things that we have to look for. But there again, that's something that a whole lot of people don't really know anything about. There's a lot of people that have horses that just don't have a real deep understanding about conformation and good feet and things like that. And if you're one of those people, and you need to be honest with yourself about it, if you're one of those people, don't go to a sale and rely on the benevolence of the seller to point out that this horse has a bad foot or a crooked leg or something like that. If you're one of those people, you need to find somebody that is qualified in terms of conformation and horse prices and feet and health and the whole 9 yards, and take them with you. Find a local trainer around that's got a good reputation, got a reputation for having good horses and winning, and pay them. Pay that person a day wage to come to the horse sale with you, and help you find something that's going to fit. Trust me, it is worth your money. Trust me, it is worth your money. So then some other things that we want to look for when we're at a horse sale. one of the things you hear is we'll just go to a reputable horse sale, and then you don't have any of these worries. All right, which one? Tell me which one you think is so reputable that these back alley deals and underhanded dealings don't happen in, and I'll tell you when I saw it happen at that horse sale. That's how it works. It happens at all of them. So just the reputation of the horse sale isn't enough to go on. Yes, go to a reputable horse sale on top of that, because that's where the better horses are. But don't just rely on the reputation of the horse sale. When you're reading the catalog, when you're reading the notes that the buyers or the sellers write these notes about the horses, read into that. Read between the lines on that, because there's a lot of things that those will tell you. I used to work for an operation, and we sold a lot of colts every year, and I wrote pretty much all of the footnotes for those colts. And sometimes if I didn't have anything good to say about that, I would just write pedigree under there to tell the owner, the guy that was putting it all together, to say something about his pedigree, because this colt ain't any good. So there's something to look about. If it only says 2 or 3 lines about the actual horse for sale, but says a whole bunch about that horse's lineage, chances are they don't really have anything good to say about that horse. There's a lot of other things that get said. We were joking about a colt that ended up on his pedigree or on his footnotes was first in line for feed and friends, and that was just as honest as anybody could be about this. This pot liquor wasn't any good for anything. He wasn't bad. He was just a big, friendly, stupid colt, and he was the first in line to get fed, and he loved getting petted on, and he was. I don't know. He was nice to pet, and you could lead him down the driveway. That was about all the redeeming qualities you could say about that horse. So, read into those footnotes. If there's funny little things in there, keep that in mind. Have that trigger you. Be cynical when you're reading those footnotes, and you can be cynical in this way that, like, I'll tell you this one. If I've got a horse in a sale, and I might have in the footnotes that my kids ride him, and I might even have video of my kids riding him. Well, just because my kids can ride him doesn't mean you can ride him. And that's something that you need to think about and be really honest with yourself about the level of rider you are and the level of rider that you're buying this horse from. There are all kinds of things like that, whereas the buyer needs to be aware and just be really, really cynical about what's going on. Because it's not going on 100% of the time, but 100% of the time it's going on somewhere. So somebody's doing it. Maybe not this person, maybe not this horse, but somewhere in that auction, somebody's misrepresenting a horse somewhere. Other little things, these are just examples off the top of my head. If it's a 7-year-old mare that's broke to ride, but they lead her through the sale and she's bred, why did they make a broodmare out of her if she's so good to ride? Maybe she's really not that good to ride. Yeah, and why is there no pictures or video of her being rode? Don't just take somebody's word for it that, she's great to ride. If she's great to ride, I'd ride her. If you run one through as a broodmare, well, she's probably not that great to ride. Unless she's got this whole long track record of she's got money won on her and this and that, and she's good to ride, and she's 18 years old and bred. Then she's a broodmare. And bred to top-notch stud, not to somebody's backyard extra stud that was laying around. These are all things that you need to think about when you go to a sale. And like I say, if you're not somebody that's got a lot of experience with horses and with horse sales in particular, find somebody that is. Find somebody that is and get them to go to the sale with you and help you out and help you make that purchase. And like I say, that whatever commission they're going to charge you, it's well worth your money. It's darn sure well worth not not spending too much money or spending a whole bunch of money on a horse that in the end you really won't want. The last thing I'll talk about on the auction part of this deal is bidding. So an auctioneer's job is to get the most amount of money for that, whatever that product is, whether it's a horse or a car or whatever he's auctioning. But we're talking about a horse auction. So for that, his job is to get the most amount of money for that horse that he possibly can. And the ringmen, the bid spotters, that's their job too. If I'm selling a horse, I have hired those guys to sell that horse for me for the most amount of money they possibly can. That's the commission I pay to them. So he's darn sure gonna. And auctioneers and bid spotters, there's more to it than just the work. They are artists at reading people's emotions, at reading people, just in general. A good auctioneer, you can walk into Walmart and he can tell you usually within a couple of $100. You can just point at people and he can tell you within a couple of $100 how much money they have in their bank account. They're learned in that. They've learned how to do that. And so that auctioneer, he knows you've got a little bit more money to spend, and he knows you're going to buy this horse, and he's trying to get the most of it for me. He might pull a bid up out of the rafters. And this is one of those, on a different video, somebody said, boy, everybody's going to get mad if you keep telling the truth. Hey, it's the truth. You know, that auctioneer will pull a bid out of the rafter, or he'll sit on a bid, or those bid spotters, they're really good at it too. I've known those guys, and this is in big thoroughbred sales, I've known those guys to be riding on, $1 million that they've bid on themselves because they know this guy right here is just waiting. He's just waiting, because smart buyers say bid once and bid last. So as a buyer, you want to wait until that horse has gotten up just as high as it's going to get, and then you be the last bid on it. Well, okay, yeah, that is pretty smart advice, but all those bid spotters know that too, and all those auctioneers know that too, and so they may be running the bid. It happens. That absolutely happens. There again, that's why you need to have somebody with you that's real knowledgeable about sales and auctions and how things work and about what the price actually is. Because if you're somebody that just says, I want that horse, I want lot number 27, and I've got the money, whatever the price is, I've got the money, I'm going to buy him. Everybody in that auction knows that. Not the rest of the buyers, but everybody that works for the auction knows. The auctioneer knows that. The bid spotters know that. The pedigree guy knows that. The guy riding the horse through knows that. Everybody knows that you made that decision, that I'm going to buy that horse, and they'll run that son of a gun on you. They darn sure will. And that's part of the deal. It's the nature of the beast. So if you're going to go to a horse auction, get informed. Get somebody on your team that you trust that can help you with it, and darn sure be cynical. Be cynical about what's going on, what people are telling you, and don't be afraid to ask questions.